Okay, so normally I probably would put my bag down, but I feel like my connection to this place is born from being a fellow leatherhead of Mark McWilliams, who is the owner of Arista Vineyard. So I am bringing my bag with me, my Artisan bag, and we're going to take a quick peek through the Japanese style gardens. So Arista is a family-owned vineyard owned by Mark and his brother. Originally started from a grape growing family, which were his parents. And they bought this place, and there was originally not vineyards on the property. And it was bought from an executive at Colgate who had spent the entirety of his career in Japan. So the gardens that you see out here were the gardens that were adjacent to what was the guest house and is now the tasting room. And so obviously a very Japanese style influence, the architecture, the plants, the gardens, all of it. We're going to go around the corner. It's breathtaking. So this Japanese garden set in the middle of Sonoma. We are on the famed West Side Road, which the reason I like tasting in Sonoma is because it's personal. It's not tour bus after tour bus of person getting off and trying wines. It's the wine equivalent of Saddleback or Hand and Hide. So it's an artisan making wines and caring about every step of the process, from where the grapes are grown and how they're grown to the end process before it ends up in your glass. So you can see that here. They're not open to the public. It's only available via appointment. And they have a connection, I think, to the people that drink their wine. It's not that you pay your tasting fee and they send you on your merry way. They encourage you to be part of the experience. So they have a farm to table experience where you'll go and you'll pick the vegetables that are going to make up your dinner, and you might sit under the canopy and sample them with wines. Check out this open space. It's absolutely spectacular. What strikes me about their winery is that there's just such an interaction with the vineyard and the surrounding gardens. It's not a sterile tasting room. It's come and experience and be a part of what Arista Winery is, which is at its heart a family winery. This place strikes me, just one, for the view, and two, for the intimacy. There's all these little gathering spaces. Check it out over there. It's a little foretop of chairs to kind of sit and soak in the view. And then over here, is where you might do a tasting and a sampling of the vegetables that you picked from their local garden. So it's not a winery, it's a family. It's a family that shares with you the things that they produce and make and oversee. And it's a process that they own and love, and it shows through and it shines through in their wines. So thank you so much to Mark and to his family for allowing me to experience Arista Winery. Thanks for watching. Good afternoon, I'm here with Mark McWilliams of Arista Winery, and I wanted to get the down and dirty backstory on this winery, this small family-owned winery, and how things run around here. In 2014? 13, they came out with version 2.0 of Arista Winery. 2.0 is close to my heart. If you watch my leather reviews, it's things that leather makers do the first time around and things that I want to see them do better next time. So you guys were already there.
There we go.
So here's his story on how this winery has changed over the last few years.
Yeah, thanks for hanging out with me today. We began making wine in 2002. My family did. I think it's always nice when you figure yourself out pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. It took us about 10 years. Between 2002 and 2012, there was a lot of discovery as we were learning the winemaking process, the business, the regions that we wanted to work in, the varieties that we wanted to focus on. And I think it was a good and necessary process to go through, because you really do have to figure out what you're passionate about, what you're good at, what the regions that you work in will bear. So between 2002 to 2012, that was that discovery phase for us. Going into the harvest of 2013, a lot of things happened in my family. My brother and I bought the business from my parents. They were ready to retire. It gave my brother and me, for the first time, we were sitting in the big chair. We got to call the shots. It was a family business, and we worked for my parents, and we had opinions, but at the end of the day, there were things that my dad felt strongly about that he wanted to do. So there's only so much that we could do. When we bought the business, it really freed us up now to begin honing in and focusing on what we felt was our core strength, and that is Pinot Noir and Chardonnay from the Russian River Valley. Prior to that, we were probably bigger than we needed to be from a production standpoint. I think we were kind of in this no man's land in size. We were making multiple varieties from multiple regions. That 2.0 moment you talk about is actually a term that we use all the time. It's Arista 2.0. It happened going into 2013. We dropped our production size to really focus in on quality. We dropped all other varieties except Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. And we really began focusing on this region, the Russian River Valley. And it became almost, it was this confident building and validating moment when suddenly we weren't making as much wine, but objectively we could taste and see that the wines we were making were much better. And it began to reaffirm the direction that we're going. So now we're 4 years into that kind of 2.0 version, and would do it all over again this very same way. Do not regret those first 10 years, but feel very confident about our future direction, where we're going now as a brand. So, yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things that we bonded on was not just the wine, but the leather. So a fellow leather crazy. So before this, what you didn't see was me fawning over his saddleback stuff, the number of rivets, the old school logo.
I love it.
And I had earlier compared him to a leather artisan, because what he does is he controls and is going to control soup to nuts, the entire winemaking production. So can you just educate people if you don't know what that means? Like, why would you control everything from the grapes that come in to the production output, and why your process is different?
We were laughing, but it was such a good analogy. We talked about leather and winemaking. Well, they're both arts, they're crafts. We definitely think in terms of craftsmanship when we make our wine. And if you kind of think about, if we stick to leather for a moment, I mean, you can have mass-produced and varying grades of leather that produce less expensive products. Maybe they're not going to last as long. And for a lot of people, for a lot of purposes, applications, that's not necessarily a bad thing. But at some point, some people are ultimately drawn a little bit deeper, and you want to begin to learn about either the type of leather, the process that tanned that leather. You want to know about the stitching. You want to know about rivets, what they're made out of, what the hardware is made out of. They begin to matter to certain people, not everybody. It's very akin to what we do in the wine business. So if you just want a bottle of wine, you can go to the bottle shop and get a $20 bottle of wine, and that's great. That's what the vast majority of people want. But there's that kind of next question and the next question, and you begin to go down this kind of rabbit hole that ultimately leads you to this pursuit of craftsmanship and quality, where you really begin to care about where did that grape come from, how is that wine made, what kind of barrel is used, what forest in France did the barrel come from, how was it toasted, how long has it been there, are you using native yeast? All of these questions begin to kind of fan out. That's what we care about. We're in that 1%, the kind of the very peak of that pyramid, where for us it is an art. This is a crafted, artisanal product that we're making that maybe is lost on some people, but for kind of winos, aficionados, collectors, they appreciate and they want to know about the processes involved in making this wine. So, yeah.
Nice. I think one of the things that I didn't know, even though I have been here previously, when this was open to the public, before it's now it's appointments only, was that it's actually a working farm. So I thought that was kind of a fun fact that distinguishes you from the other wineries. What makes this a working farm? So what do you guys have here?
So I mean, obviously we grow a lot of grapes on this property, that for winemaking. But we do have what you would kind of think in the most traditional sense as an operating farm. It's very small. We operate on about 1.5 acres to 2 acres. As a small brand, we are very blessed to have a chef on staff full time who oversees our garden program. So he plants from seed all of our fruits, vegetables, and herbs. He farms it himself. That program was really born out of an education tool is we would do tours on this property, taking people through our vineyards, and we would start talking about heirloom selections of Pinot Noir or organic farming. You could tell people were trying to make a connection, but when you talk about heritage clones of Pinot Noir, people's eyes would begin rolling back in their heads. But if you have the same conversation with the same person about heirloom squash or heirloom tomatoes, oh yeah, we love to go to our farmer's market and then blah, 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 blah. Grapes or produce is the same thing. So what we realized is we could use a garden to teach people about the principles and practices that we employ in our vineyard. And who doesn't like to prepare food and wine? So the program really kind of started there, and it's grown now into 100% of our fruits, vegetables, herbs. We cure our own meat, we make our own cheese, we make our own honey, and our own olive oil, all off of the estate. And we offer a program where you're able to come, you walk your garden with a chef, you pick the ingredients, you go back to the kitchen, and we do a 5-course meal based on what you just harvested. It's hyper-seasonal, and it's always paired with the wines that are current in our release program. So really fun to do. It is by appointment, and it's done on a pretty limited basis. But if you're looking for the full experience, truly farm to table and connecting the circle with food and wine, and it's all grown as a estate, is the way to go. So, yeah.
Nice. And then a last sort of silly question. Tell me just one thing that you think would really surprise people about you, right? Because on the outside, you're a winemaker and you studied it, you've worked in this industry, you're also obviously a leather crazy. But what's something like people would be surprised to hear about you? There's got to be
surprised
something.
To hear about me now. This is a spontaneous question.
I know. So he didn't get advance notice.
No clue.
So this is my preference to do these sort of cold interviews.
What?
I apologize.
No, it's fine. One thing that would surprise you.
Well, I'll tell you while you think. I'll
Yeah.
tell them a story. We were walking around the gardens, and there was this giant banana slug, which is the mascot for UC Santa Cruz, right?
Yes.
So my daughter saw it, and he went up to it and touched it and showed her, like, oh, look, the eyes go back in its head when you touched it. So that was like kind of a clever fact. So something not that mundane because I just shared
Oh
it.
my gosh.
There's got to be something like.
Let's see here. I don't know. I'm completely stumped, and I rarely ever get stumped. Tongue-tied.
You know what? We could leave this for next time I'm up here. And in your version 2.0 of your interview,
I will come back with a strong surprise.
you better have
answer.
something really good.
I'll do it. You got it. You got to come back.
Thank you so much for watching. Cheers.
But it took us 10 years, but we figured out who we were and the direction that we wanted to go. And for the first time, I think that's a very empowering thing. And now we knew exactly who we were and what we wanted to be. And it allowed us to reset regions that we were making wine in, vineyards that we were working with, even varieties of wine that we were making, and focus in on just Pinot Noir and Chardonnay, and begin doing it at a much higher level than we've done before. We might want to stop. What you don't realize is we're in the middle of filming something.
Oh,
Just say hi.
That's all right.
that's great.
Sorry.
It won't hurt.
Edit.
You just
Reverse
came
that.
flying through. I'm like, he doesn't know that he didn't hear me just say
It'll
this
be
to
casual.
No, I didn't hear. Sorry.
Yeah,
I'm that guy.
You want me to restart it? You guys just want to keep
No,
shooting?
I'll splice it out. Or I'll leave it in if it's fine. Yeah.
Scrolling, you can do that.
Fine,
if you
splice
want.
it out. I'll see how it is.
Thing right there.
Oh, I love that.
Always moving?
I got speed back here. So that's what you want to touch him?
You're smart.